So Donald Trump was back on Capitol Hill yesterday for the first time since the January 6, 2021 insurrection, and Republicans gave him a hero's welcome. The presumptive 2024 GOP nominee briefly addressed the press after gathering with House and Senate Republicans in two separate meetings, touting his great relationships with everyone present.
This is an outstanding group of people. I'm with them 1,000%. They're with me 1,000%. We agree just about on everything, and if there isn't, we work it out.
He said very complimentary things about all of us. We had sustained applause. He said, I'm doing a very good job. I mean, we're grateful for that.
He saw me. I was sitting back a little ways. He saw me in there, and he was like, hello, Marjorie. He's always so sweet and recognizes me.
He's electric. He's got an incredible fastball. And I think that was just exciting after all he'd been through, how strong this man is. I've never seen someone be able to take all the heat that he's taken and come in there ready to lead.
He was the team captain, and we were glad he was leading us. It was the single best meeting I've ever seen between the United States Republican senators and President Trump.
You know, and Willie, just in case you're keeping score at home, they were saying this about a man convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault against a woman, was found to be guilty by definition, in definitional purposes, by a judge in New York of raping that woman. He said, you can call it what you want to call it, but everybody else outside this courtroom calls it rape. When he talked about definitions of the U.S. Army or definitions of, again, medical organizations. And this is who the Republicans are throwing their arms around with reckless abandonment. And again, for political purposes, let me say again, because I'm so nice, and I like to warn people before they stick their hand on the stove for the 8th time, this is also the man that led Republicans' defeats in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and it'll happen again in 2024. And one of those people talking, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, the guy who said in 2016 and got it right before that losing streak, he said, if we nominate Trump, we will be destroyed as a party and we will deserve it. So here we go. It's about to be an 8-year losing streak.
I mean, you could go to a Taylor Swift concert this summer and see less giddiness about her from teenage girls than we saw from Republicans on Capitol Hill about Donald Trump right there. It's truly staggering. These are grown men, supposed leaders, who just cannot be more excited to be in the same room, to breathe the same oxygen as Donald Trump, to jump up to standing ovations. And as you say, Joe, many of the people in that room giving him an ovation, getting as close as they can to make sure they're in all the photographs with him for their campaign ads, are the ones who condemned him on January 6th, in the days after January 6th, before they put their fingers in the wind and realized that his supporters still liked him and changed completely. It's not surprising anymore, but to see it up close with him side by side with them and then running to cameras to talk about how excited they were to have been waved at or recognized by him in some way. It is something to behold. And that meeting with Republican senators also, by the way, marked the first time Trump and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell have come face to face since 2020. After the meeting, McConnell told reporters the meeting was, quote, good.
We had a good meeting.
Did he say anything about you?
Did you talk to him directly? Did you talk to him directly? Yeah, we shook hands and he took questions from the audience, and it was an entirely positive session.
So after seeing that photograph of Mitch McConnell shaking hands with Donald Trump, Liz Cheney posted, I won't read all of it, but you get the gist. Mitch McConnell knows, writes Cheney, Trump provoked the violent attack on our Capitol and then watched television happily as his mob brutally beat police officers and hunted the vice president. He knows Trump refused for hours to tell his mob to leave. And even then, with police officers bleeding, he kept repeating his election lies and praising the criminals. He knows Trump committed a disgraceful dereliction of duty and is a danger to our Republican. Trump and his collaborators will be defeated, and history will remember the shame of people like Leader McConnell, who enabled him. Joe, that is from Liz Cheney after having seen that scene on Capitol Hill yesterday.
It's 100% correct.
Liz Cheney, and she wrote what she wrote there. Mitch McConnell basically said when he was talking about what happened on January the 6th. You talk to people, liberals, conservatives. You talk to people who were there on January 6th. No one was more angered by what happened than Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell talked about it. When he was on the Senate floor, he talked about all of those things that Liz Cheney said right there. And now, again, it's just a collective sort of amnesia and just complete moral vacuum at the core of the Republican Party. And what about Mike Johnson? We gave him sustained applause. It's so painful.
Yeah.
It's just
that
so
was
painful.
like, by the way, exactly what Trump wants to hear. A lot of people were clapping for him. That's like the childish 5-year-old mentality about his audiences and clapping. Very strange and very lame that Mike Johnson would feel the need to do that. Yeah. Let's bring in NBC News and MSNBC political analyst, former U.S. Senator and former prosecutor Claire McCaskill. She and Jim Palmieri are co-hosts of the MSNBC podcast, How to Win 2024. Also senior political columnist for Politico, Jonathan Martin.
J. Mart.
I'm just going to leave that there. And staff writer for The New Yorker, Susan Glasser.
So J. Mart, you have traveled around the country.
You look like it.
You have talked to Republicans. You have talked to elected leaders on both sides of the House. You know, like I know, because I've talked to them too, all of those people clapping and all of those people hugging Donald Trump. And all of those saluting Donald Trump, all hate Donald Trump, all say terrible things behind his back. Yeah. And even that guy right there said, if you're a Christian, J.D. Vance, at one point said, if you're a Christian, you cannot vote for this man. And yet, here we are, J. Mart.
They're living a life that they're not terribly thrilled about, but it's the life that they've chosen because their voters like him. Joe, their voters love him, actually, and they live in fear of their voters. And look, that's the issue, right? There's a fundamental difference between the leadership class of the party and the rank and file voters. They're not the same party. And you've got a residue of an earlier party that's still left, especially in the Senate, that does not reflect where the party's voters are. So they have to fake it, and they've been doing that for going on a decade now. Some of them quit or retire or are defeated, but if those who stick around, they make this accommodation and they do it unhappily, but that's the life that they're living. And boy, guys, I have to say, to have Doug Mills, the prize-winning photographer for the New York Times, come into the NRSC yesterday to shoot that session, to record it for history. Trump knows what he's doing. He's getting the best photographer in journalism today to come record all the supplicants in the Senate kiss his ring yesterday because he wants those pictures for history.
Supplicants. And, you know, Claire McCaskill, Willie and I talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. And we will just say, because we're men, we talk about how we would respond as men if somebody insulted our wives and called them ugly, and if somebody accused our father of being part of the JFK assassination, or if somebody gave out our phone numbers, like Trump gave out Lindsey Graham's phone numbers and insulted Lindsey as much as he did. We could just go down the list. You know, I mean, Mitch McConnell shook hands with a man who has unleashed a torrent of racist comments about his wife. But he did it. I just got to say, I'm just going to say this. I'm an old guy, so I'll just say the way that we would say it in the past. And Willie and I have talked about it now. As a man, You do any of those things, you cross that line, there is no going back. There, you insult my father, my wife. Like, there's no going back. There's no shaking your hand. There's no endorsing you. In fact, I will focus on destroying your political career for the rest of my life. By the way, people who know me know. When they have insulted close friends who have passed away, I literally spent the next 20 years going after them because, well,
it's wrong.
You just don't let bullies beat up friends and family members.
Yeah, I watched that video, and my former colleagues were going, power, self-respect, power, self-respect. Okay, I'll go with power. I'm not going to go with self-respect. A couple of things stood out to me about his meetings on the Hill yesterday. One, did you see that awkward moment where Joni Ernst was forced to kiss his cheek? Katie Britt rushed him and, of course, was like, oh, I love you, and hugged him and stuff. And then he walks by Joni Ernst and he sticks his cheek out, and Joni kind of goes over there and has to peck it. And by the way, this picture of Josh Hawley, I wish somebody would ask Josh Hawley what he was running from that day on January 6th when the cameras caught him running. And why was he running? If he's written a book on masculinity and how you be a man, I don't know what men run from, but usually it's because they're afraid for their lives. So, and then the other thing that was, think about this for a minute, guys. Donald Trump got in front of members of Congress and wanted to talk about whether Taylor Swift was going to endorse him. I mean, that's just weird. I mean, that is a scrambled brain. First of all, they're under no set of circumstances is Taylor Swift ever gonna endorse Donald Trump, ever. And so him bringing it up is such a self-own that he cares more about Taylor Swift endorsing him than any of those losers that he was requiring to applaud him.